As I always try to do, I try to take some notes as we go through this and do some summaries. I'll do my best to try to reiterate some of the great points I heard from all of you. We start off talking about progress, and we heard some things about the middle cloud, still being private but opening up, and we heard about cloud as a service. We heard about clouds within clouds, and in that definition, so we have the private, the public, and the hybrid clouds all seem to be evolving at a very rapid pace. Other things I heard on progress was a lot of talk about strategy being important to get done first. Strategy, planning, governance, things like that are very important in order to make progress. We heard about some of the platforms, email platforms. We heard about personnel recruiting platforms being things that are programs where tremendous progress has been made. And I heard about not only progress, but a lot of benefits coming out of that. Time being crunched down from 45 days to 10, I believe, is what we were talking about, and probably going to continue to do that. I guess my takeaway from our discussion on progress is cloud is real now. For years, it's been coming along, evolving. People have been talking about it as something new. It's no longer new. It's reality. It's the way we do business these days. Some of the specific things we heard about were the recruiting apps. We heard that there's over 500 apps now at Air Force that are being on the cloud. Defense enterprise email is a major success story and moving to its next generation already as the technology evolves. And we're actually moving more towards now to some of the level 4 things and some things in the world of NIPRNet and things like that, whereas before it was mostly focused on admin kinds of things or back office kinds of things. When we talk lessons learned, what came out strong was the transparency issue. I heard about provisioning and right sizing. One that was an interesting discussion was it's not always cheaper. You got to really plan this and think it through. And in some cases, it may not be cheaper out on version 1. You need to rethink it as to how do you improve it down the road to achieve those savings that are expected. An inventory of applications is a lesson learned. We don't want to take things we don't need and move them to the cloud, or take applications that are old or obsolete and move them to the cloud. We need to take a look at what we really need to move, and do we modernize as we move them. I heard from industry that there's a lot of relearning going on. There's a lot of new complexity that comes with this, things that's not seen just on the surface. So there's a lot of relearning. And again, on the lessons learned, I heard the word strategy and governance over and over and over. When we got to the challenges, something that jumped right out were legacy policies will not work in cloud environments. Some of the things we did in the past are no longer applicable as we move to cloud, and that speed issue is one that came out. Time to get policies and procedures in place is no longer acceptable the way we used to do it. We can't have certification accreditation processes that are going to take months and months and months and months and months, because the demand is weeks or even days. The culture issue jumps out, as it always does on these shows when you talk about challenges. People like to do things the way they always have, and I quote, I'm not sure, I think it was Robert Kennedy said, 1/3 of everyone's against everything all the time, no matter what it is. The agility issue came out as a challenge. We need to be agile, move quick, and security, of course. Future, we talked about moving from technology to mission. We talked about consumerization, ubiquity, software-defined networks. Changes, and in the discussion with Dave on mobility and supercomputing and wearables and what that will do for the future.